Итак, всем здравствуйте, с вами канал Game Channel, и сегодня мы будем играть в игру под названием The Stanley Parable. Итак, эту игру мне посоветовал один человек. Все, начинаем, короче. Так. Все коллеги исчезли. Как же случилось? Стэнли решил пойти в конференц-зал. Может, это... Итак, мы идем. Когда Стэнли подошел к двум открытым дверям, он вошел в дверь слева. Тут выбор. Хорошо. Ладно, пойдем налево. По указаниям. Но и тут никого не было. Не веря своим глазам, решил подняться в кабинет начальника с надеждой найти ответы там. Хорошо. Подойдя к лестнице, Стэнли подошел наверх к кабинету начальника. Так, тут опять какой-то выбор. Ладно, пойдем туда. Пойдем к начальнику. Так. Зайдя в дверь, Стэнли был снова ошеломлен отсутствием кого-нибудь живого. Совершенно шокированный Стэнли начал гадать, кто все это какие темные секреты от него скрывали. Чего он не мог знать, так это того, что кнопка на панели стала начальника имел ужасную правду. И для этого начальника поставил особенно секрет 284. Так, хорошо. Но, конечно же, но каким-то образом, нажимая случайно кнопки, Стэнли угадал правильный код. Невероятно. Он зашел в открытый проход. Хорошо. Так, это лифт. Хорошо. Спускаемся, значит, вниз. Так, подождем загрузочки. Походу, это следует много концовок. Сейчас это мы проверим. Идти влево дверь, либо вправо дверь. Потом лезть. Спускаясь в глубину здания, Стэнли заметил, что чувствует себя как рождающая эмоцию в груди, словно не мог, но он мог свободно думать. Почему он чувствует это сейчас? Не задумывался об этом никогда не ранее. Эти вопросы не остаются неотвеченным надолго. Хорошо. Так, идем. Стэнли пошел прямо и зашел в дверь, в которой был написано «Станция управления». Так, тут опять выбор. Хорошо. Так. Ладно, пойдем туда. Так, я вижу кнопку, надо на нее нажать.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ну, я думаю, да, если он подойдет. Так, хорошо. Так, вот.
Now the monitors jumped to life.
Теперь загорелись мониторы, раскрыв все.
Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
На каждом из них был номер работника Stanley.
Lives of so many individuals
жизнь
reduced
которых
to
людей
images on a
упрощена
screen.
до изображения на мониторах.
One of
Стэнли был
them eternally monitored in
под
this place
постоянным
where
просмотром
freedom meant
в этом
nothing.
месте. И свобода была пустым звуком. Так, хорошо. То есть, получается, начальник смотрел за всем за этим. Это лифт, походу. Эта станция управления создана слишком чтобы проверить, неужели Стэнли действительно был все это время под чьим-то контролем. Только поэтому, потому что ему сказали, извиняйте, нет, он не хотел в это верить. Он не мог этого принять. Его жизнь под чьим-то контролем никогда. А то он было сложно подумать.
Had he
Раз ли
truly
такое
spent
возможно,
his entire
неужели
life utterly
он действительно
blind to the
провел
world?
свою жизнь, не видя чего-то?
But here was the proof. The
Вот
heart of
это
the
доказать.
operation.
Среди станций
Controls
кнопки
labeled with emotions.
подписаны эмоции
Happy or
счастлив
sad
или
or
несчастлив,
content.
или
Walking,
доволен.
eating, working. All of it
Ходьба,
monitored and
пища,
commanded
прием
from this
пищи,
very
работа.
place. And as
Все,
the cold reality of his past began to sink in,
когда
Stanley
холодная
decided
реальность
that this machinery would
начальника
never
упала
again
на
exert its
Стэнли
terrible
решил,
power
что
over
он не
another
будет больше
human
иметь
life.
власти над
For
чьей-то
he
жизнью,
would
ибо он
dismantle the
сломает
controls
положение,
once
все,
and
конец.
for all.
Так, что тут опять выбор. Отключить систему или включить систему? Попробуем нажать выключить. Так, что здесь? Хорошо. Так. Странно. Вот. Так.
Blackness and a rising chill of
Пробирающий холод
uncertainty.
неуверенности.
Was it over?
Получилось? Да, походу это получилось.
Yes.
Да,
He had
он
won.
победил.
He had defeated the
Он
machine,
победил систему, освободил себя
unshackled
от чужой
himself from
власти.
someone
Свобода
else's
была уже не так
command.
близко.
Freedom was mere moments
Это
away.
что?
And yet, even as the immense
Но
door
все же,
slowly
пока огромная
opened,
дверь
Stanley
медленно открывалась,
reflected on
Стэнли
how many
задумался о том,
puzzles still
во
lay
сколько загадок
unsolved.
осталось
Where
без
had his co-workers
Куда
gone?
подевались его
How had he
коллеги?
been
Как он
freed from the
освободился от
machine's
контроля
grasp?
систем?
What
Какие
other
еще
mysteries
секреты
did this
скрывал в
strange
себе, не
building
знаю.
hold? But as sunlight
Но
streamed into the
с
chamber, he
с
realized
первыми
none of
лучами
this mattered to him,
солнечного света,
for it was
упавшими на
not
пол
knowledge or
комнаты,
even
он
power
понял,
that
что
he
его
had been
это
seeking,
не волновало.
but happiness.
Ведь
Perhaps his goal had not been to understand,
возможно, его целью
but
было
to
не
let
понять,
go. No longer would anyone tell him where to
никогда
go,
больше ему
what to
не
do,
скажут, куда
or
идти,
how to
что
feel.
делать и как себя чувствовать.
Whatever life he lives,
Какую
it will
жизнь
be
он
his,
прожил,
and that was all he needed to know.
и только
It
это
was
было
perhaps
важно,
the only
только
thing
это
worth
возможно,
knowing.
стоило понимания.
Stanley stepped through the
Стэнли
open door.
вышел в открытую дверь. Так, это, походу, хорошая концовка.
Stanley felt the cool breeze
Стэнли
upon his
почувствовал
skin,
легкий ветер
the
на
feeling
коже,
of
чувство свободы,
liberation, the
невероятный
immense possibility
потенциал
of the
нового
new
пути,
path before
который
him.
перед ним
This
стоял.
was exactly the
Именно
way,
так, прямо
right
сейчас,
now,
все должно
that
было
things were meant to
произойти.
happen.
То есть, произойти
And
должно.
Stanley
И Стэнли
was happy.
был счастлив. Так, да, это хорошая концовка. Значит, первая концовка. Так, проходим. Сейчас мы будем проверять все эти концовки пока на одной ветке, потом на другой. Так,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, первая концовка есть.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Странно.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Понятно. Так, хорошо. То есть код мы знаем.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Такого не было. Ау. Играет успокаивающий New Age. То есть, зачем это?
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Хорошо. Так, значит, вот тут мы проходили, а потом мы проходили к кнопкам, где были мониторы, То есть тут выбора не будет. Потом, так, там будет либо идти в проход с надписью Escape, либо, опять же, прямо идти и нажать на
Stanley walked
кнопку.
straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
Так,
Control
ладно, пойдем
Facility.
сначала сюда.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Так, прыгать и бегать он не может. Да, приседать он может. Хорошо.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off. And leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do, for example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent. Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you, running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Да. Хорошо. Вторая концовка плохая. Пойдем в левую дверь и на escape. Туда. Хорошо.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так вот.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так, да, мы это все знаем. Просто проходим мимо.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
В escape пойдем и потом пойдем туда.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Так, хорошо. А тут почему-то этой штуки нету. 2. Попробую так 8. 4. Что? Дверь открыта. Странно. Это значит, если концовка какая-нибудь плохая или хорошая. Хорошо, ладно. Пойдем в escape. Так, подождем. Так. Хорошо. Ладно, пойдемте.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Да. Нет, я так не думаю, что там будет такая жестокая смерть. Я думаю, что все нормально.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Возможно развернуться и вернуться на правильный путь.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Да, я хочу проверить, что там. Я боюсь. Поехали. 1, 2, 3. Боже, да, это опять плохая. Хорошо. Так. Что? Что? Стойте. Пожалуйста.
As the machine whirred into motion, and
Ослабление
Stanley was
начал
inched
двигаться.
closer
Пока
and closer
Стэнли
to his
медленно двинулся к
demise,
своей
he
кончине,
reflected that his life had
он
been of no
задумался о своей
consequence
жизни и о
whatsoever.
том, насколько
Stanley couldn't see
бесполезна она
the
была.
bigger picture.
Стэнли не мог
He doesn't know
видеть
the real
общей картины,
story, trapped
не мог
forever in his narrow
всей
vision
истории.
of what this
Нужно
world is.
всегда заключен.
Perhaps his death was of no great loss,
Возможно, его
like
смерти
plucking the eyeballs
не
from a
было
blind
в
man.
чем-то
So he
значительном.
resigned and willingly
И
accepted this
тогда он
violent end to his
сдался,
brief and
он
shallow
признал,
life.
что
Farewell, Stanley.
Боже. Нет. Стойте.
Farewell, Stanley,
Прощай,
cried the
Стэнли,
narrator, as Stanley
воскликнул
was led
рассказчик.
helplessly into
Когда
the
Стэнли
enormous metal
без
jaws.
помощи
In
отправился
a single
в
visceral
огромную
instant,
такое,
Stanley was
в
obliterated
мгновение
as the
был
machine
уничтожен.
crushed every bone
Приспособление
in his
сломало
body,
все его кости
killing
в
him instantly.
теле и мгновенно его убило. Хорошо. Так, ладно.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Мы хотим просто посмотреть на все концовки. Так, хорошо. Exit. Хорошо, выход.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Надо нажать Off. А если я не хочу этого делать? Ладно, хорошо. Так.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
Понимаете, насколько они нужны друг другу?
Perhaps not.
Пожалуй, нет. Иногда
Sometimes
такие
these
вещи
things
нельзя
cannot be
увидеть.
seen.
Ну, хорошо. Так,
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't
ну, ладно.
let time...
Ну, ладно. Все, это опять плохая концовка. Так. Игра. Ладно. Ответь. Игра на паузе. Хорошо. Может быть, так должно быть. Сейчас проверим. Подождем. Так, значит, это третья концовка. Он умер. Хорошо. Так, теперь нам нужно вправо. Нет, сейчас надо вот после босса надо идти. Нет, около босса надо идти на низ. Хорошо. Так. Ну, игра. Ты чего? Ответь. Игра. Там было написано, не можешь пройти эту игру. Значит. Ладно. Ладно, сначала будем проходить. Надо было. Значит, будем. Так, хорошо. Фу. Что, идем?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, в левой ветке мы только одну концовку еще надо. Что? Теперь другой вход почему-то, что?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Хорошо. Другая другая ветка событий пошла.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ладно.
Feeling a wave of disbelief,
может быть,
Stanley decided to go up
вот
to his
тут надо
boss's.
им.
Coming to a
Пойдем.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Так.
office.
Ты что-нибудь есть? Что это?
But Stanley just
Но
couldn't do it.
Стэнли не мог
He
этого
considered the
сделать.
possibility of
Он
facing his
представил,
boss,
как
admitting he had
будто
left his
это
post during
вообще
work
значит,
hours.
что
He might be
покинул
fired for
место
that. And in
рабочее.
such a competitive economy, why had he
Уже
taken that
надоело мне
risk?
читать, так
All
что
because he
уже
believed
не буду
everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Что?
All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all.
То есть,
None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream.
да, это
What a
голос,
relief
походу, в
Stanley
его голове.
felt to
Это
have finally found an answer,
его
an
совесть.
explanation.
Может быть.
His co-workers weren't actually gone.
Тогда там
He
было
wasn't going to
написано то,
lose his
что
job.
это раз.
He wasn't crazy after
Ладно,
all.
будем думать,
He thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Что?
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
Тут есть такая вкладка «Сохранить игру».
the truth
Сохранил
was
игру,
that, of
потом
course,
сохранить.
this was not a dream. How could it
Надо
be?
закончить.
Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Да. Так, он открывает глаза. И ничего.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ладно.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Это другая уже история.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body, and then she turned and ran.
Это нейтральная, короче, концовка. То есть показывают, что с ним стало. Ну, я так думаю. Да. Так. Pожалуй, на этом мы закончим.
Stanley was alone. Finally, this is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Я лучше пойду прямо.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Другая концовка, значит. Так, сегодня было примерно 5 концовок, хорошо. На этом мы закончим. До следующей серии. Пока.